Hello and welcome. We all know Union Budget 2025-26 was presented by the Finance Minister on 1st Feb 2025. And the most interesting part was revision of tax slabs and reduction in the rates of tax. Especially for salaried class, if your income is up to 12.75 lakh per annum, then you don't have to pay any income tax because you get 100% rebate even if you have no savings or investments. I'm sure you already know about this because n number of videos are out there on this topic. And this 100% rebate up to 12.75 lakh is available only in the new tax regime, or for the purpose of today's video, let's call it as the default tax regime. For those who are not familiar, we have two tax regimes, default and old. If you would like to know more about these regimes, I have a separate playlist. You may consider watching it. The link is in the top right corner. Now for a change, in today's video, let's focus on different set of audience, those earning salary over this limit. Wait, does that mean this video is not for those earning salary within the limit? Not really. We are going to cover this aspect as well. But for this class of taxpayers, instead of just paying attention to understanding tax savings because of budget changes, which anyway we are going to do, let's go one step deeper and see, are there any situations in which you don't get this rebate? Yes, you heard that right. This 100% rebate is not automatic. It is subject to satisfying certain conditions. So there could be situations in which you don't get this rebate either fully or partly, even if your taxable income is within the limit of 12.75 lakh. So in today's video, we are going to cover this too. Another interesting topic that is connected with what we have just discussed is when, in addition to salary, you have income on which special rate of tax is applicable. Say for instance, capital gains. In such a scenario, what's the change? Because your tax payment is gonna differ. So let's understand this as well. And in the end, let's do a quick comparison with the old tax regime. This would help you decide whether to go for it or to remain in the default tax regime. Here are the existing tax slabs and rates of tax. Let me read it for you. Taxable income up to 3 lakh, no tax. This is your basic exemption limit. Over 3 lakh up to 7 lakh, rate of tax is 5%. Over 7 lakh up to 10 lakh, 10%. Over 10 lakh up to 12 lakh, 15%. Over 12 lakh up to 15 lakh, 20%. Over 15 lakh, 30%. Let's now see what is it after the change. Taxable income up to 4 lakh, no tax. So your basic exemption limit is increased by 1 lakh. Over 4 lakh up to 8 lakh, rate of tax is 5%. After that, for every addition of 4 lakh income, rate of tax is gonna go up by 5%. Up to 24 lakh, when rate of tax is 25%. Over 24 lakh, rate of tax would be 30%. Let's now talk about rebate. As of now, for income up to 7 lakh, you get rebate up to a maximum of 25k, which is more than 100% of tax. Now the change is, instead of 7 lakh, this limit is increased to 12 lakh. So rebate is gonna go up from 25 to 60k, which is 100% of tax. And remember, these changes are effective from next financial year onwards, that is from 1st April 2025 onwards, once the finance bill is passed. To have a better understanding of this, let's consider a use case. If your salary is say 15 lakh, then what would be the impact of this change, or rather what would be your tax savings? First, before the change, gross salary 15 lakh, standard deduction 75k, so taxable salary would be 14.25 lakh, on which the tax that you have to pay is 1,25,000. After the change, taxable salary would remain the same, but your income tax is reduced to 93,750. So as you can see, there is a decrease in tax liability of 31,250, which is about 25%. Let's now quickly compare two other use cases. One when salary is 20 lakh, other when it is 25 lakh. Let's start with 20 lakh. Before the change, taxable salary would be 19.25 lakh, on which you have to pay tax of 2,67,500. After the change, taxable salary would remain the same, but tax that you have to pay is reduced to 1,85,000. As you can see, there is a reduction in tax liability of rupees 82,500, which is about 31%. And if your salary is 25 lakh, then taxable salary would be 24.25 lakh, on which you have to pay tax of 4,17,500. After the change, taxable salary would remain the same, but your income tax is reduced to 3,07,500. So this has resulted in decrease in tax liability of 1.1 lakh, which is about 26%. And remember, if your income is over 25 lakh, then this decrease in tax liability in absolute number is going to remain the same, that is 1.1 lakh. But as a percentage, that is relatively, it's gonna differ. Now let's talk about the situations in which you don't get this rebate either fully or partly, even if your taxable income is within the limit of 12.75 lakh. Let's first compute tax. Gross salary 12.75 lakh, standard deduction 75k, so taxable salary is 12k. Let's compute tax on this. Basic exemption limit is 4 lakh, over 4 lakh at 5% 20k, after that on the remaining 4 lakh at 10% 40k, so total tax is 60k. Now let's talk about the situations in which you may not be eligible to avail this rebate. 1. If you are a non-resident, so this rebate is available only for residents. 2. When you don't file your ITR, that is, you can avail this rebate only while you file your income tax return. 3. If you have income on which special rate of tax is applicable. Say for instance, stock transactions. If you have LTCG or STCG, then your rebate would be reduced to the extent of your income on which special rate of tax is applicable. To understand this better, let's consider a scenario. Let's say your salary is 11.75 lakh and your STCG on sale of listed equity shares is 1 lakh. I've considered these values just to be within the limit of 12.75 lakh. Let's compute tax. Gross salary 11.75 lakh, standard deduction 75k, so taxable salary is 11 lakh. STCG is 1 lakh, so taxable income would be 12 lakh. Now because you have income on which special rate of tax is applicable, we'll have to compute tax separately for salary and capital gain. First, let's compute for salary. Basic exemption limit is 4 lakh. On the next 4 lakh at 5% 20k. On the remaining 3 lakh at 10% 30k, so tax on salary is 50k. On STCG at 20% of 1 lakh would be 20k, so total income tax would be 75k. But your rebate would be restricted only to 50k because you don't get rebate on this STCG. So tax payable would be 20k. Now, if you don't fall in any of this ineligible category, then you can avail 100% rebate. So 60k is the rebate here. So tax payable is 0. And also remember, this limit of 12.75 lakh is applicable only for salaried class. For others, say you have business income, professional income, etc., then this limit would be 12 lakh for you because you don't get standard deduction. Let's now do a quick comparison with the old tax regime for salary of 25 lakh. Now in the default tax regime, we have already calculated tax on this. So tax payable is 3,07,500. Let's compare this with the old tax regime. Gross salary 25 lakh. Standard deduction in old tax regime is only 50k. So taxable salary is 24.5 lakh. Let's say you pay interest on home loan 2 lakh. Your EPF contribution is 1.5 lakh. Health insurance premium that you pay is 50k, so total deductions 4 lakh. Taxable income 20.5 lakh. Let's now compute tax on this. Basic exemption limit in old tax regime is 2.5 lakh. On the next 2.5 lakh, rate of tax is 5%, so 12,500. On the next 5 lakh at 20%, 1 lakh. On the remaining 10.5 lakh at 30%, 3 lakh 15,000. So total tax that you have to pay is 4 lakh 27,500. As you can see, there is an increase in tax liability of 1.2 lakh, which is about 39%. To give you an idea when the situation could be indifferent, that is whether you choose default or old regime, the tax is going to remain the same, is when your deduction can go up from 4 to 8 lakh. Now 8 lakh deduction, is it possible to claim? Yes, it is possible. Now existing deduction is 4 lakh. Let's say in addition to this you pay interest on EV 1.5 lakh, interest on education loan 2 lakh, donation which is eligible for 100% deduction 50k, so total deductions would be 8 lakh. Now taxable income is reduced to 16.5 lakh and the tax payable is reduced to 3,07,500, which is same as the tax that you have to pay if you choose default tax regime. So the crux here is only when you have lots and lots of deductions, it is wise to go for old tax regime. Otherwise, it's better to choose the default tax regime. Apart from this, there are other changes as well, but I don't want to confuse you, and also not to make this video lengthy, let's cover those topics in separate videos if possible. So this was all about revised tax slabs and reduction in rates of tax for salaried class as proposed in the latest budget. Hope it was informative. Thank you for watching.